Good evening. It's Monday, the 20th of February, and it's time for the news on RIK2. The government in Nicosia today assured that President Anastasiades will be present at the scheduled Thursday meeting with Mustafa Akinci, the first following the Turkish Cypriot leader's strong reaction to the approval of the parliamentary amendment that calls for the teaching of the 1950 union with Greece plebiscite. Subsequently, Akinci walked out of last week's meeting with President Anastasiades, as the UN also confirmed, and has still not made clear whether he will be attending Thursday's negotiating round. In remarks to our station, government spokesman Nikos Christodoulidis expressed the hope that the Turkish Cypriot leader will also attend, but also his regret that the Turkish side was trying to take advantage of the current tension due to the approval of the amendment and connect the whole issue with the security and guarantees aspect. Christodoulidis said that no international interlocutor or involved party is blaming President Anastasiades for the developments that have unfolded following the parliamentary approval of the Union with Greece referendum amendment. Meanwhile, Akinci set two conditions to President Anastasiades for his return to the negotiating table. According to Anatolia, the Turkish state's news agency, the first condition is that the president should annul the decision on the 1950 union with Greece plebiscite celebration in Cyprus's secondary schools, and secondly, explicitly state his disapproval. Anatolia quoted Akinci as saying that only if these steps are taken will the Turkish Cypriot side re-evaluate the situation. According to the same sources, the Turkish Cypriot leader further claimed that the idea of the unification of Cyprus with Greece is the root cause of all problems being experienced. Akinci admitted walking out of last week's meeting with President Anastasiades, claiming, however, that the Greek Cypriot leader himself had led the Turkish Cypriot side to this point. Every meeting, he added, has a level of respect and the limits, as he said, were violated. Akinci further added that the Greek Cypriots still find it difficult to accept the political equality of the Turkish Cypriot community. If they continue to face difficulties on this issue, he said, then no result will come out of the negotiations. The chief negotiators, Andres Mavroyiannis and Osdil Nami, are scheduled to meet tomorrow to prepare the ground for Thursday's meeting, but it's still not certain whether either meeting will take place. Akinci is expected to decide whether to attend Thursday's meeting tomorrow, following consultations with Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, who arrives this evening in the occupied territories for an illegal visit. Çavuşoğlu is also scheduled to meet so-called Prime Minister Hüseyin Özgürgün and the so-called Foreign Minister Tahsin Ertuğrul. Yesterday, the Turkish Foreign Minister held talks on the Cyprus issue with British Foreign Under-Secretary Alan Duncan in Munich on the sidelines of the International Security Conference. Espan Barthaida also discussed possible next steps in Cyprus negotiations with his boss, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who also attended the Munich conference. The building of a new psychiatric hospital was decided by President Anastasiades this morning after chairing a meeting of all involved parties to discuss the major shortcomings in providing adequate care at the Athalassa Hospital for patients with psychiatric conditions. The meeting was held following recent complaints by staff for lack of hot water and heating, sometimes for more than a week at a time, as well as other operational issues, including damage to the building housing the hospital. Health Minister Yorgos Bambouridis, who took part in the exchange of views along with other ministers and technocrats from ministries involved, said it would take 3 years to build a new hospital. Until that time, President Anastasiades gave instructions for immediate measures to improve medical care at the existing facility. Final decisions will be reached at a new meeting scheduled for March the 1st. There was still no trace of young diver Andreas Yangu, who vanished early Saturday morning after going spearfishing off the coast of Pomos in the Paphos district. A massive search effort continued for a third day from air and sea, with only clues being found, such as the man's 2 spear hooks and a video of him that came from a camera attached to one of the spears. Yangu, 31, is a father of 2. According to CYBC sources, Yangu was at a depth of 22 meters when he went missing after he speared a large fish in a rocky area. In the footage from the underwater camera on his spear, the diver appears to try and head for the surface after spearing the fish, but his movements are considered unnatural from a point onwards. Investigators appear to come to the preliminary conclusion that Yangu's movements were probably due to loss of consciousness from lack of oxygen. Search efforts were continuing up until late this afternoon in a radius of 2 kilometers from the area where the spear gun was found. A man driving with 5 times the allowed level of alcohol in his blood entered the opposite lane of traffic on the Limassol-Paphos highway last night, driving for quite a distance, terrifying dozens of drivers. The 43-year-old from Bolemidia in Limassol was found driving in the opposite lane near Pissouri, inside the tunnel leading to Paphos. Patrol cars blocked his way just outside the tunnel. He underwent a breathalyzer test which recorded 101 milligrams against the allowed level of 22. Furthermore, he was driving a vehicle that had been registered as out of commission since last year. He was arrested and placed in custody. Police today launched a campaign on driving while intoxicated, saying that drunk drivers were the #1 cause of fatal accidents. A 29-year-old Romanian man is being treated in critical condition at the Nicosia General after acid was thrown onto his face and body. The man was attacked in Limassol, but due to the seriousness of his condition was rushed to the Nicosia General. The victim, who has suffered first-degree burns, was not able to identify the attacker. He testified to police that he did not have differences with anyone. A day after falsely suggesting there was an immigration-related security incident in Sweden, President Donald Trump said his comment was based on a television report he had seen. Trump, who in his first weeks in office has tried to tighten U.S. borders sharply for national security reasons, told a rally on Saturday that Sweden was having serious problems with immigrants. The U.S. president said Sweden was taking in large numbers of immigrants and was having problems like they never thought possible. No terrorist-related incident occurred in Sweden, and the country's baffled government asked the U.S. State Department to explain. Trump said his statement as to what's happening in Sweden was in reference to a story that was broadcast on Fox News. The U.S. channel that has been cited favorably by Trump ran a report Friday about alleged migrant-related crime problems in the country. A White House spokeswoman told reporters yesterday that Trump had been referring generally to rising crime, not a specific incident in the Scandinavian country. Now a look at the weather. Overcast skies tomorrow will bring isolated showers with the possibility of storms on the mountains and snowfalls over the highest reaches of Troodos. Winds will initially be light variable, force 3, later turning moderate northwesterly, force 4 over slight seas. Temperatures will reach 16 Celsius inland and in coastal regions and 5 over the mountains. The depth of snow on Mount Olympus is half a metre, with 40 centimetres in Troodos Square. That's all from us here. Join us tomorrow for more news in English. Have a very good evening.